Well, Anthony, you're with the California Homeless Union, and you have been working with folks dealing with homelessness for many years. When people talk about wildfires and think about the impact of wildfires, I think those who are already unhoused, it probably doesn't even enter their mind. I mean, the focus is often on people who are losing stuff in the fire, the devastation. But for people who are already so vulnerable and so marginalized, when a wildfire impacts them as well, it can be exponentially worse. Take us through what you see as the impact on the wildfires, whether it's the Camp Fire, currently the Dixie Fire, or really name any fire, because there are fires constantly these days. What are the impact of those fires on the homeless?
Well, I think the impact of these wildfires, certainly in the Camp Fire, which was in Paradise, they take a lot of different forms. I think to begin with, those who are actually in tents or hidden away in certain rural areas, they continue to suffer from just very serious health issues. It's been determined that the Paradise Fire, because it was a small town, but is also surrounded by the foothills and all the kind of more wooded areas, was both an urban fire and a rural fire. And the number of toxins that came into the atmosphere, in some cases carcinogens, in some cases poisonous materials that are already evidence is showing that people have been permanently impacted and made sick. So those who had no shelter, no indoor place to have refuge, they were arguably put at immediate risk with just inhaling the smoke and all the chemicals that were released by the Camp Fire. It was an extremely intense fire. You'll see in the documentary where Greg and I are looking at the melted hubcaps, melted steel. Steel melts at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And so you can imagine the health effects. I think the wildfires are aggregating, as you say, an already existing status quo where the homeless are just more vulnerable to, on every possible threat you can imagine. Their vulnerability is increased. COVID-19, the impact of fires, people who had a few meager possessions, no insurance, no way to recover these items. You can see that it had a disproportionate impact. But I think also, I have to say, because I think this is in some ways the most significant aspect, and that's why the film is called From These Ashes, A New Movement is Rising, is that I think we saw a determination on the part of many members of the homeless community to organize and stand up for themselves in the wake of the fires. And we were able to establish a real foothold in Northern California, we, the California Homeless Union, in large part because of what Greg Schaefer was able to do for us in kind of representing he was a victim, his family was a victim of the fire, and yet he also was, you might say, an average guy, working class guy. His parents, his dad's a truck driver, his mom worked for the school district, and as he says, it could happen to anybody. So we've learned those lessons and applied them in building our local unions in the Northern California part of the state. So I think there's hope, but there is absolutely devastation and continuing, harms that are impacting a rapidly expanding population of unstably housed and homeless people in California.